Hi there, my name is Katelyn Moses, and we are going to be talking about conflict theory today and how over the years it has become an engine for social change in our world. First off, what is conflict theory? Or is it even a theory? According to Langer and Leitz, it's more of a perspective because it is not concrete in its thinking. It has been widely accepted across groups and systems, but it does not follow a step-by-step plan, so that makes it difficult to measure its outcomes. The theory is analytic and descriptive in its ways. Conflict theory helps social workers today manage to see the difference between a small disagreement in a family and a deeper misbalance in a relationship. Power differentials are the unequal distribution of power in relationships, and it applies to conflict theory. A man named Karl Marx was the founder of conflict theory and his classic Marxism. He framed all of his thinking during the mid to late 1800s, also known as the Industrial Revolution. He observed the relationship between the factory owners and the factory laborers. He was not a fan of capitalism because he believed that the owners were paying their workers less, taking the profit, and selling cheaper goods. His political economic theory was coined as dialectical materialism to describe the ongoing debate about materials and the power differentials in relationships as mentioned previously. From dialectical materialism, the 4 principles of conflict theory were formed. Principle 1. Conflict is inevitable. There will come a time that each of us will disagree with someone else. We may not share the same opinion. We may not be in good terms with our neighbor. It is a normal part of life since we are all so different from one another. With this, conflict is, of course, inevitable. However, conflict is optional as well, which basically means there are many ways to settle conflicts. Principle 2. There's an unequal distribution of power in relationships. This relationship is not one of symmetrical reciprocity, but rather one of the oppressor and the oppressed. The power differential derives from the ruling class's ownership and control of the forces of production. As a result, there's a basic conflict of interest between the two classes. According to Langer and Leitz, an example would be American manufacturers taking their business to another country to obtain labor for lower rates and to avoid U.S. laws. In social work, a revolution could be as simple as a unionization or community organization. Principle 3. There's an ongoing struggle for scarce resources. Capitalists are those that own and operate factories as well as other productive businesses. In order to gain and maintain profits, they employ the proletariats who sell their productive labor for wages. In social work, the client's needs always exceed the resources available. Therefore, social workers must be prepared for inevitable conflict and to make decisions at the micro, meso, and macro level. Principle 4. Whoever has the most power controls the distribution of resources. Conflict theory holds that social order is maintained by domination and power rather than consensus and conformity. Those with wealth and power try to hold on to it by any means possible. A basic premise of conflict theory is that individuals and groups within society will work to maximize their own benefits. Marx further believed that as the working class and poor were subjected to worsening conditions, a collective consciousness would bring inequality to light and potentially result in further conflict. But if the conditions were adjusted to the concerns of the lower class, the cycle would continue and the conflict would remain. Conflict can be found in micro, meso, and macro practice settings. A specific study was done among 12 to 17-year-olds who use the internet for accessing entertainment through Cartoon Network or through Khan Academy. Students' interest in Khan Academy were positively correlated with their high sociodemographic status, while students' interest in Cartoon Network were positively correlated in lower sociodemographic status. Possible explanations for the disadvantages and advantages include the parents of low sociodemographics might have been uncomfortable with technology due to language barriers, the use of entertainment was an escape, or that the students were enrolled in disadvantaged schools where lower emphasis exists on technology. Through this study, internet use among these students shows that disparities in educational opportunities may be perpetuated instead of reduced. Social workers can work with schools and communities in changing policies related to lack of resources and by teaching basic and enhanced computer skills. Conflict theory can be used in diverse client systems with all populations. Conflict can lead to change, and the social worker will recognize the power differences and hopefully successfully negotiate working in the community. Additional community members can start to attend, trust relationships can be built, a committed expert from the group can be found, and services for the children can be started as well, all leading to larger, more impactful changes. With conflict being unavoidable in any society, that allows for conflict theory to be used across different populations and settings, rather to be in groups, couples, or individual sessions. Since conflict theory is based on unequal distribution of power and resources, it can help individuals recognize how these power differences affect their decisions. For social workers, it applies to prioritizing resources available for clients if there are only so many spots available. It is important to remember to proceed with caution when intervening where there are power imbalances. There are also limitations for any theory. As mentioned in the Langer-Leeds text, due to its vast applications, it can be difficult to evaluate the actual progress. While the different applications of conflict theory can be evaluated in a way such as preventing bullying, it will be difficult to have different approaches how we use within conflict theory. Another critique is that it is focused on the negative when it comes to change. Changes occur daily and are not always negative. The theory has a great role with diverse client systems. One is that conflict is present in all populations. Two, it can be used in the different levels of practice, as mentioned. And three, social workers have a duty when using conflict theory to approach it, to understand the culture and views to make progress in society. Today, conflict theory is still around, and we do refer to it. We have a few different areas that we can look at. Around the world, it's impacting many ethnicities. It has been suggested that inequality across ethnic groups is an important correlate of conflict. Another study looked at racial profiling with cops and vulnerable groups. In the end, there are many conflicts among people and in society, and social workers can help protect those that are in conflict. We can give advice to those that need it, and we can love on those who need love.